Let's talk audiobook. Specifically, let's talk about an audiobook about a man named Bob. Bob is a tech genius who agrees to have his head cryogenically frozen, and he spends the next 100 years floating through space, fighting off self-replicating spaceships, and also, there's Admiral Akbar. Good morning, evening, or afternoon, and welcome to Classically Trained Nerds. Today we're going to talk about an audiobook. Specifically, we're talking about the audiobook We Are Bob, We Are Legion by Dennis E. Taylor and narrated by Ray Porter. This book came out in September this year, 2016, and for a new book, especially one with an author who doesn't normally write fantasy, spot on. Definitely recommended it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's definitely a great read for any nerd. I mean, it is literally chock full of nerd references. Everything about this book from the beginning to the end just reminds you that you're either watching Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica. I mean, it is just chock full of references. Because the main character himself, not to get too spoilery or anything like that, is the biggest nerd in the world, and it's awesome. Now, Dennis E. Taylor writes a lot of mathematic books. He writes a lot of not quite science fiction books, but he has been partnered with other science fiction authors to kind of help them with their science fiction-y. So he's a legit scientist writing a book about nerd reference science. So can't go wrong there. So about the book real quick, just to kind of give you a quick rundown without getting too spoilery. It's about a guy named Bob. Bob is a tech genius who agrees as an insurance policy to cryogenically freeze his head to be reawoken in the future where he can be cured and live a happy life again. So come to find out, he reawakens in the future and a tyrannical religious faction controls the United States. Now, normally I would consider this kind of far-fetched, but the way he explains it kind of runs similar to some kind of similar things that have happened lately. So not to get too scary, but you know, read the book. You might appreciate the laughter and the humor in that. So basically, Bob is in charge of von Neumann probes in the future. So if you don't know what von Neumann probes are, take a look at this link. That is Space-Time with Matt O'Dowd, and it is a phenomenal channel. If you are not subscribed to that channel, I would highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite watches. It's a little on the scientific side, a little hard to follow if you don't pay attention to everything he says, but you'll love it. I guarantee it. So watch that, and you will get an idea of what von Neumann probes are. So when I review books, I tend to look at a couple key factors. How is the world building? How's the dialogue? How are the characters' actions? And the usage of Deus Ex Machina, also very important. In We Are Bob, We Are Legion, the world building is really good. He actually takes our current world and propels it 100 years in the future, taking social, political situations that are happening currently and exaggerates them and kind of makes some assumptions about people's ideas and actions and creates a futuristic world that scarily could probably happen. If you read the book, you understand why it's kind of scary. But yeah, his writing creates a really good dialogue flow. Bob, the main character of the book, who's a huge nerd, he actually says the things that you would expect a huge nerd to say in those situations. So the book kind of writes itself. It's very natural. And I like to think that I'd probably do the same thing if I was in his scenario, especially with some of the more of the spacefaring side of the storyline there. The character actions, kind of touch base back on the dialogue. It's spot on. Like I said, I'd probably do the same things he would be doing or saying the same things. I feel like most nerds or most anyone would probably do the same thing. Nothing feels forced or out of place. Nothing seems kind of random. Everything just kind of writes itself, and it almost reads as though it's almost like historical fact almost, which is an attribution to Dennis Taylor's writing. I'd say it's spot on. Good job there. A lot of books have problems with Deus Ex Machina, which, if you don't know what that is the usage of things in a storyline that propel the storyline, or not quite random, but like magic tends to be a huge one in fantasy books. Insert magic spell that can solve problem A, and then life is now better. Most fantasy books have to use some sort of Deus Ex Machina in order to keep the storyline going or to add intrigue or whatnot. The way Taylor did it was he actually took modern technology and a lot of technological theories and used those to implement his Deus Ex Machina. So a lot of like EM drives and some spacefaring technology, they're all theories right now. He puts them to, in a sense, almost like makes them as though they're real. He is a scientific writer by heart, so a lot of these things that he's writing about, you would say that already exist. The way he describes them and the way that they go through space and the way things explode, spot on. Can't argue with it whatsoever. Now on to the audio portion of the audiobook. Kind of one of those key factors for an audiobook. The narration for We Are Bob, We Are Legion is done by Ray Porter. And let me tell you, he does a phenomenal job. This book must have been meant to be narrated because everything just flows so well. The dialogue is perfect. There's just no inconsistencies between reading and listening. There are some books out there that I've listened to the audio and I'm just like, oh God, what am I doing? Just give me the paper and I'll read it myself. Not in this book, not whatsoever. Like I said, I think this is just meant to be an audiobook. The Ray Porter, the narrator, perfect. I thought at one point when I was nerd deep into this audiobook that Ray Porter was the writer of the book. That's how flawless his narration is. Even so, for example, even at one point towards the end of the book, Bob, the main character, he kind of splits off into different personalities. Ray Porter picks up each personality and just gives it its own dialect and tone. I mean, it's all the same voice, it's all the same character, but you knew who was talking to who and what personality was talking to what personality. There was no inconsistencies. It was a perfect flow. No confusion, no nothing. And it's just a testament to Ray Porter's narration. Plus, Ray Porter does a phenomenal Admiral Akbar. So you'll love it. You absolutely love it. Like I said, if you come out with anything more, I'm going to buy it. I know Ray does a lot of textbooks and a lot of more technical manual narrations, but you got to jump on the science fiction and fantasy bandwagon, Ray, because you got talent. So overall, I give this book a 9 out of 10. It was definitely a great read. Definitely great as an audio as well. I would recommend it as an audio, which I will link it here through Amazon Audible. Definitely very easy to listen to here or there. Pick it up, put it down, 20 minutes, 15 minutes here or there. I'm going to be all over book 2 when it comes out. I'm probably going to end up getting the paper version and the audio because I can just crank right through it and definitely nitpick it. I am going to recommend this book as a reread. So if you've read it or listened to it once, do it again because there is a ton in this series that they just nitpick every nerd reference you can out of it. I mean, there are some, I'm on my second read of it and I'm picking up even more now. So definitely pick it up again if you've already read it. Thanks for listening to the review. If you liked it, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like me to review some other books or audiobooks, please comment in the description below, and I'll get right on it, and we'll be doing some reading. So thanks, guys, and hope you have a wonderful night.